The world has changed dramatically in the last decade and will continue to do so. Many of the traditional ways businesses operate are no longer effective or won't be effective much longer. With the advent of things like Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, Snapchat, and things of the like, from a business standpoint, this can be a scary or at least a bit of an unsettling thing. But with these challenges also come great opportunities to do things differently and more effectively and efficiently than ever before. I want to take this opportunity to introduce myself, and from there I'll go through a few ideas that I have at a high level in regards to broadcasting in your organization and how I may be able to benefit you. So I'm going to jump right into it. My name is Chris Droder. I'm going to be 35 years old in May. I was born and raised in Yorkton, Saskatchewan. Went to school at Sacred Heart High School, was captain of the football team. After following high school, I moved off to Calgary and played football for the Calgary Colts, and went to pilot school there, which eventually became more of a hobby than a career path. But from there I went on into the oil and gas industry, did things like working pipeline, road construction, and the oil rigs. After a workplace injury on an oil rig, I had to evaluate my situation and essentially look at retraining. I spent a year upgrading my maths and Englishes in order to pursue education as a computer network technician. From there, I went on to be hired at SecureTech as a computer support technician, which at the time was a brand new position. And in that position, I really worked on and focused on service development in the areas of IP technologies. So I developed things like video monitoring technologies, as well as home automation solutions and things of that nature. Basically anything that plugs into the internet. So we're really focusing on service development in regards to the security monitoring industry. After about a year in that position, my manager in the department was let go, and I must have been doing things fairly well, because I had the president of the company come to me and ask if I was interested in pursuing any kind of management experience. So from there I decided to apply for the position, and lo and behold I got it. And I spent 3 years as a department manager for 2 departments and about 18 staff. The departments were the technical support department, which supports their dealer network in alarm installations, as well as the computer support department, which I was formerly a staff in. So following that, after about 3 years, I decided I wanted to go off on my own and do my own thing. So there was an opportunity brought to my attention from some of the senior managers at SecureTech, where one of our dealers in Vancouver was retiring, and there was going to be an account base that needed someone to service, and I decided to take that. So I went off on my own and started my own company, where essentially I was doing security installations, but I was more of a custom integrator. So do things like multi-zone audio systems and home theaters and home automation type of solutions, smart homes and things of that nature. So that's a little bit about my background. I'm not going to get into anything too specific. I think a lot of my skills and relevant training are outlined on my resume, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight into who I am and a little bit of my work history. So I'm going to jump right into how I think I can benefit your organization. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't know a lot about the broadcasting industry specifically, but I think a lot of the technology, training and experience really overlaps and is really relevant to your business as well. So I'm going to make some assumptions, which I don't normally like to do, but for the purpose of this, I'm going to jump in and pretend I know almost as much about your business as you do. So one thing that I would like to point out a wise colleague and dear friend of mine in the telecom industry once told me that really the key to the telecom industry is really owning the network. And by that, it means, once you've got the network in the customer's home, really you own that home. So you need to, from there, you need to focus on service development, which I think is something that really needs to be focused on from the broadcasting standpoint. So, one of the suggestions I'm going to make is that I can't stress enough how important it is to have that network in the customer's home. So I'm going to be so bold as to say that one thing that should be considered is offering the network to customers in Saskatchewan for absolutely free. Now, I know you might cringe when I say the word free, but realistically, nothing's free. So what I'm talking about is offering the network to customers at no cost. Now, this network may be a stripped down version of a standard network, may only offer limited airtime or limited data throughput, but essentially what it's doing is getting that network into every customer's home, allowing you to increase your market penetration in Saskatchewan and really own the customer's home. From there, most customers aren't going to be satisfied with the bare bones basic network because it's really not going to accommodate what most people need to do. So they're typically going to upgrade, and that's where you start looking at charging a monthly service fee. But for those others that are just want some basically email access, you would be offering that service free, but really focusing on trying to sell other services based on that network, such as you're doing now with some of your security services and other things, telephone and things like that. So really, I think the key is getting in the customer's home, and you want to get into as many customers' homes as possible. And like I say, I think that the way to do that is to offer your network for free. And again, nothing is free. So, I think that by offering that basic network, really you're getting into anyone's home. Who would turn down free network services? So and then from there, you just you're looking at really trying to upsell them and getting to buy a premium network package instead of just the basic. So that's just one idea that I have in regards to your business. I do have really what I would call a golden goose egg of an idea that expands on that further, but I think I'll wait until after we talk about engaging in an employment contract before I get too far in depth into that idea. You may want to have non-disclosure agreements and things like that in place to really secure that intellectual property. So from that standpoint, I'm going to cease and desist on that idea for now, and we can talk further about that in the future. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some other high-level ideas that I have in regards to where I think things are going as far as the broadcast industry and as far as technology in general. I think one of the big areas that needs to be focused on is streaming services. Now, you're probably not going to like to hear this, but I'm one of those guys that has dropped my cable company, and I am running solely on my Android box. Now, I will admit one of the things that I do miss about my local cable company is having access to the local news, weather and sports and other community events and things like that. But you know what, for not having a cable bill right now, that's something that I'm going to sacrifice. But on these streaming services systems such as the Android boxes and the Apple boxes, they do offer or some companies do offer some local broadcasting. For example, I believe CTV has a number of streams available. Now, a lot of them are just focused on the major centers, Toronto, Vancouver, and things like that. So I think one area that may be of benefit for you to consider is getting involved in those streaming services and offering some local content, and through that you can generate revenue through advertising. No one likes to see customers leave in order to go to something that's free. But the reality is it's happening. So you got to look at how you can benefit on this situation. And I really think that focusing on adding some streams, some local access streams that are available through these streaming services is really the key to make the best of the situation. The other area I think that's going to be a major hot point as far as the way of the future is mobile TV. I mean, today everyone's got their cell phone in their pocket. They've moved away from the standard computer systems and are mobile today with smart or with iPads and things of that nature. So I really think that a focus needs to be made on mobile TV and being able to leverage some revenue through those types of services. So another thing that I think really needs to be seriously considered for the future. The other thing that Mike Kelly had mentioned to me was, to think about ways that of leveraging, analog or some of the older technologies, and I think that's an important point. From a business standpoint, you want to be able to get the best return on your investment as possible for some of these legacy technologies. So again, maybe this is an area where it can be offered at a free kind of proposition to the customer, and really try to push them into upgrading into some higher quality services. I mean, the reality is today people aren't just demanding, but they're expecting better resolutions and better sound quality, and with the advancement in those technologies with 4K resolutions and technologies like Dolby Atmos, which basically allows for up to 192 speakers to be utilized through a sound system. These things are becoming important to the consumer, and they don't just want these technologies for their movies; they want it for their daily television as well. So really, you need to be on the cutting edge, and really, what that means is more data, more bandwidth required, and again, that gives you the opportunity to be able to upgrade the customer from a basic free technology into technology which allows for those things such as 4K and higher sound quality. So I think that's an area where some of the analog or legacy technologies can be utilized and really be used as a way to leverage customers into some of those higher technologies. Another area I think that obviously is very important is the interactive experience and on-demand services. Customers have really come to a point where they're expecting those on-demand services and that interactive experience. So focusing on that and really looking at what's important to the customer and being able to offer them some additional value through those types of services is going to be another important point to focus on in the future. One area that I don't believe that you are currently focused on, and I may be wrong, but I believe that's digital advertising. Digital advertising is huge today. I mean, the other day I walked into Subway and went to go to the drink machine, and here's this drink machine with all kinds of crazy lights and a touch screen on the front. Select your drink, add flavor shots and things like that, and I'm standing at this machine going, wow, this is this is technology at its finest. Now, I'm not sure if those machines are IP enabled at this point, but if they aren't, I believe they're going to be very soon in the future. So I'm standing there looking at this machine and thinking, this is the perfect avenue for advertising. Now, one of the problems with advertising is a lot of cases advertising isn't really relevant. And what I mean by that is a lot of times things are being advertised to consumers that the consumer really doesn't have access to those things. So I think one thing that needs to be focused on is location-based advertising. So here's my kind of harebrained or kind of scheme or idea on this is excuse me. Standing at this Coke machine, I'm thinking, if there was an advertisement on here, or maybe a time-sensitive type of offer for a local business within walking distance of this place. For example, in this situation, I was at a Subway. There's a pub down the street called Whiskey Jack's Pub. Now, what if on that screen popped up, while I'm waiting for my drink to dispense, popped up an advertisement that said, hey, come to Whiskey Jack's Pub. We're going to give you 50% off your first drink if you come within the next 2 hours. And a little QR code pops up there. Scan it with your phone. Take a walk down to the Whiskey Jack's Pub, and you've got this little coupon on your phone, and now you get this discount or this deal on a business within walking distance of this other business. Now you've got basically a situation where relevant advertising is happening, and it's drawing business into another business. So now take it a step further, and let's have a conglomerate or maybe an application where businesses can work together and develop advertising that's relevant to the other business, so they can kind of piggyback off of each other and offer these deals. For example, I'm talking about Whiskey Jack's Pub. They have TV screens throughout the place. I mean, it's a sports bar, and they've got all these high definition TVs. Well, you know what? Those TVs are IP enabled. So basically they're connected to the internet. So in theory, it would be possible to have advertising presenting on those screens. Maybe they're advertising Subway because Subway had advertised for them. So I'm just thinking, and this is kind of at a high level, this is an opportunity where maybe someone like Access Communications could offer a hub or a portal for these customers, these businesses, to essentially work together to provide advertising for each other. Now, obviously at a cost, and through this hub or portal, maybe there's a way that the customer can generate some basic advertising on their own. But you know what? Most businesses aren't going to want to have basic advertising. They're going to want to have something with some flash and some dramatics and things like that. So maybe they come back to Access and say, you know what? We want a professional advertisement here. So Access then now charges a fee for designing this professional advertising. I think there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of electronic billboards showing up these days, and a lot of other avenues. I mean, you look. We're not far off of having touchscreens integrated into refrigerators and washing machines, and just imagine the day where your washing machine is out of detergent and pops up a little ad for a discount on Tide, and you hit the button, you accept, and 2 days later that box of Tide or that bottle of liquid Tide shows up on your doorstep. Well, it sounds a little bit out there, but we're not far away from that. And really, my point is just staying on the cutting edge of technology and really looking at the big picture. I think that's the most important part, is looking at where things are going and looking at these opportunities that are out there. Now, some of these things may not be possible, for Access or maybe anyone. But my point is technology is advancing so quickly. Really, you have to have leaders that have their finger on the pulse of technology and really look at doing things outside the box or doing things a little bit differently. And I think that I'm that guy. That's kind of my thoughts on the digital advertising side of things. Now, I want to kind of venture into an area that I do have a lot of insight into, and that's the security industry. To be honest, I actually wasn't aware that Access was in the security industry. My apologies, I've been away from Saskatchewan for about 6 years now, but when I was on your website, I noticed that you have ventured into the security industry, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity there for you. From what I could tell, you were just doing basic security monitoring, and I think you have a pretty good start there. But there is a number of other services, again, in some cases, leveraging that network that I think we really need to get into everyone's home as quickly as possible. Some of those services are offsite video storage. having cameras that stream off-site to servers that are managed and hosted by Access Communications at a monthly fee. Again, RMR, recurring monthly revenue. Getting those services out there and really squeezing every dollar we possibly can. Another area is managed access control. A lot of businesses have large access control systems, which in honesty can be a little confusing and a little hard to manage as employees come and go from those businesses. So today there is managed access control solutions out there whereby maybe Access Communications can be managing those access control solutions for the customer, and again at a handsome recurring monthly revenue. Medical monitoring. The population is aging. Baby boomers are getting older, and everyone is getting older. So I think that's one of those services that really has a lot of strength in the market is medical monitoring. Having that help I've fallen and I can't get up button. Not sure if you're offering that, but if you aren't, you're missing out on a major stream of revenue. One area that I really think is going to be a major expansion in the future is home controls. So when I was at SecureTech, I had the opportunity to develop the first in the world managed home automation solution. Very proud of it, and it was a great opportunity for me. And with today's appliances and devices all becoming connected to the web and to the internet, I think home controls is really the way of today, not even of the future. And there's always some potential there for, again, recurring monthly revenue type of scenario. And I think if you haven't considered it, it's an area that really needs to be focused on. Now, one area that I think really has not been touched from a monitoring standpoint is one of, it almost seems obvious to me, but when you talk to people and you ask them what's important to them, first thing that they're going to say is their family and friends. And then probably the second thing that they're going to say is their pets. Now, one thing that really has not been focused on, and I think is going to be huge in the future, is pet and child monitoring. Now, I can foresee this application that allows you to monitor your pets and your children. You'll look today, I look around to go out to the mall and I see 5-year-olds with their own iPhone. Now, imagine, being a parent and having a child that has access to the internet and all those kinds of things. Well, it's a little bit scary. So, maybe having an application that's allows you to monitor what content they're getting, or monitor what they're doing, where they are, those types of things. So I think an application could possibly be developed in regards to that, whereby that application also has the ability to provide some advertising content. Why not advertise that Polly Pocket or the newest toy to that child so that they can go to their parents and say, hey, Mom, I want this. And so I think that there's some advertising opportunity there and some ability again to look at some recurring monthly revenue for a small fee. We'll offer you this application to help you monitor and track your children and pets and things of that nature. So some of this stuff is kind of pipe dream stuff right now, but realistically is viable with today's technology. So that's kind of my introduction or thoughts on some of today's technology, and I think and what I think would be relevant and profitable for Access Communications. Now, the other area that I think I can really benefit is by helping Access really gain internal efficiencies. Really, what I would like to do is get in and evaluate the systems you currently have in place and really look at your business processes, see what's working, and really get a fresh set of eyes on it. Because when you've worked in an environment for so long, you start to become blind to things that you're doing, and maybe there's a lot of things that are being done that just don't need to be done or aren't being done in the most efficient way. So I have a fairly extensive background in gaining internal process efficiencies. For example, when I was at Secure Tech, I was part of a project that took basically 50 filing cabinets, large filing cabinets in Secure Tech, and took all of those paper documents and made them electronic, and really focused on making a lot of the internal processes electronic and automated, and really just the 50 filing cabinets alone allowed for additional space to provide 2 additional cubicles in the organization. Now that's 2 more offices where people could work, or more additional space within the organization. And beyond that, it definitely increased efficiency of the business tenfold. So really, my point is not only do you need to look at what you can offer the customer, but you need to look at what you can do differently internally, so that you can provide the best service possible in the quickest manner possible, and not be doing things that you really don't need to be doing. So that's kind of the end of my presentation. You might be asking why I've done this through a video aspect, and really I wanted to highlight the fact that broadcasting has changed. Everyone can be a broadcaster. So really, to be a traditional broadcaster, you really have to focus on doing things differently. You have to have strong leaders and strong technical people, and if that's what you're looking for, then I think you'll want to be giving me a call to follow up and possibly talk about bringing me aboard your team. So I'd just like to thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.